What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, and this is the latest off the bench. This is The Cave. This is produced by DMD Custom Group. Don't ask me if there's any available. There's none available. This was put out a while ago. This is the kit version. This came in two scales, a 1/3 scale and a 1/4 scale. This is the 1/4 scale version. Dan, the producer, was trying to get rid of some of these kits not too long ago, and I reached out to a few of my clients, and two of them bought it. So this is the first one of two. I've got a second one in the queue. So this one was the first one. This is a really cool freaking piece. You basically get two statues for the most part. There's an A pose and a B pose. We're looking at the A pose right now. What changes, and I will do a switch out. I'll pause and do a switch out of everything. What switches out from A pose to B pose is the upper torso, the cape. The cape is the same. The only difference is the key for the neck, and 3 stalagmites. The two big ones and the smaller stalagmites. So the 3 stalagmites switch out. The upper torso switches out, and you got 9 heads altogether. For the A pose, there's 5 heads. I'll show you all 5. There are 2 left arms. One is a straight arm, and the other one is he's holding his belt buckle. There are 1, 2, 3, 5 different hands for the right hand. So there's a ton of switch out options. So you have an A pose and a B pose. Technically, if you wanted, you could put like the A stalagmites with the B torso if you wanted. So you could switch this up. You could put the B stalagmite there and have the A stalagmite. So the possibilities are like really kind of endless with this thing. So it's kind of crazy. So you basically get 2 statues, which is pretty cool. Ton of freaking parts. There's 28 bats, 9 heads, 9 hands, 4 or 5 gauntlets. It's just insane the amount of parts. I will say overall the kit was really, really good. The only issue I really ran into is the fitment of the 2 big stalagmites. I spent quite a bit of time trying to get these 2 to fit as best I could. They still don't fit perfectly, but with the amount of time I put in this thing, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pick my battles, and I'm not gonna worry about it too much. It does have a light up feature, as you can see here. I painted the bottom lenses here on the base with clear blue. My client had sent me some photos of stalagmites lit in red, and I didn't want to paint them red because I think it'd be way too like jarring in my opinion. So what I did is I tinted the lenses on the light up feature red. So we have 3 colors of light. We have red coming on the spotlights, red on the lenses, and just clean light coming up through grate. I'll come closer. You can look down into the grate. There's actually some water down there. So it's a great piece. I don't know who the sculptor is on the label, but I can't lift it up right now. Unfortunately, I should look at that. But this thing took almost 2 weeks. I think I quoted a week, but since I didn't realize I was going to basically 2 statues to paint, so I was like, holy crap, there's a lot here. Really cool piece. This is actually my best Batman paint up I've done so far, in my opinion. I'll go over some of the techniques I did, especially for the black, because I stole some techniques from Sideshow, which worked out fantastic. I've never painted bats before. I actually painted, there's 28 altogether, and I thought, oh man, I'll be painting bats for days. I actually got them done yesterday, a little over half a day, which I was really surprised. I just kind of came up with a quick, easy way to render them as quickly and as nicely as I could in a decent amount of time, because I don't want to spend days painting bats since they're kind of an accessory, really not the star of the show. But I'll spin this guy around, and again, this is the A pose. And that's the first of 5 heads for the A pose. So I'll show you the other ones. For the stalagmites, I sprayed them like a light sheen so they look a little damp, because stalagmites are wet. You know, they're formed by mineral deposits. But this looks really cool. The bats look fantastic. You can see the light, the red light kind of shining up on his cape and on the stalagmites. Nice red light glow there on the boot. Overall, like I said, everything fit really pretty good except for these two stalagmites. The back right. The other one fits better than this one, but man, I spent a good time just kind of grinding, puttying, just trying to figure out how to get them to fit. I got some touch-ups here just from working on it this morning, doing touch-ups. I got a touch-up there. But I just had to kind of pick my battle. I was like, okay, it is what it is. So there you go. So that's the overall piece. It does come with a bus stand, so I'll show you that real quick. Might as well have that in the background. And the bus stand holds the B torso. So for the B torso, this is the only setup you have with these arms. You have He's basically putting on his gloves. And there's 4 B heads. You can switch those out. I did add lights to this because since the other base lit up, I told my client, hey, we should add lights to this. He said, well, I usually don't use a light up feature. Like, well, it's really cool on the big base, and I could add lights to this without too much expense. So I added a plug, and now they're not crazy bright, but we got some nice warm light coming out from the grate and blue light coming out from the bottom. So those complement each other really nice. And then when you switch out to the B pose, you obviously put the A torso on the bus stand. The metallics and the stalagmites are painted exactly the same. I didn't do any gloss on the stalagmites on the little one. I just kind of left it as I thought it looked fine. But so let me get that out of the way for now. So it does come with a bus stand for the B torso, or either torso, to be honest. You just switch out the torsos. So let's come a little closer here. And look at some of this paint work. Okay, so for the black on the suit, I'm going to bump my exposure just a little bit. Right about there. He's looking a little pink, but that's okay. There's a little pink in the video from what I'm seeing in person. So for the blacks, you can see it's actually 3 different colors of black. The bat logo's solid black. The cape, the cowls, and the suit, and the boots are all the exact same color. All the same techniques were used on the boots, the suit, the gloves, the cape, and the cowl. The only difference is for the suit, or for the top and the pants, I did a dead flat finish, and for everything else I did like a light sheen / semi-gloss. And what that does is the same color, but the 2 sheens makes it look like 2 different fabrics. So it's really nice, easy technique to do to get two different looks of fabric with the exact same color. So for the black, what I did, again, I stole this technique from Sideshow, which I've never done on black, and it looks freaking fantastic for this. I base coat everything in solid black, just Stynol Res black, and then I mixed up a gray wash, just using this craft paint, neutral gray craft paint. I just slathered it on everything and just sponged it off and used a brush and kind of stippled, and I got this really kind of messy, dark gray look on everything. Then I just went in with a clear black with a little bit of clear purple and clear brown mixed into it, and added all my shadows. So what that does is it darkens all the shadows and gives the black a cool tint to it. So we have a cool black against all these other warm tones, and it looks freaking fantastic. I mean, it looks awesome. It's so cool. You can switch out the bat logo from a modern logo. So let's take this guy out. Now this magnet's pretty damn strong. It's actually a little over strong to the classic logo. So I like both. That's kind of nice. It adds a pop of color. Solid black, it's yellow with a little bit of shading. So let's look at all the heads. So I've labeled these. They weren't labeled, but I labeled. So this is the first head. Unmasked portrait. I kept all the skin tones fairly young. My client didn't want any 5 o'clock shadow. So it's all clean. This is probably my favorite. I really like the long pointy ears. That's number 2. And the eyes are just they're white with like a white glow on them for all the cow heads. 2. Here's 3 short ears. Here's 4. Short ears, a slightly different look on his face. It's almost exactly the same. He's got a little more of a scowl there. And another short ear, number 5. He's just looking straight ahead. So that's the only, I think that's the only portrait where he looks straight ahead on any of the poses. They all tend to look over his right shoulder. So I'm going to put my favorite head back on, just leave it on there because I like it. I really like the long ears. I think it looks great. It looks menacing. So let's put that on. Okay, for the arm switch outs, if I come down. So we got the grappling gun here. Okay, this stays in. This comes out. You can have a, that's the wrong side. You can have a open hand, like that. You can do a hand holding his batarang, and the only thing I really don't like the pose of this hand. I would think it would be turning a different direction, but it just kind of goes in. These just slide in, holding his batarangs, or you can do a closed fist for that side. Boom. I like the grappling gun, so we're gonna put that back. Let's put the grappling gun back. Boom. Okay. So that's it for all those switch outs. Let's put those to the side. For the other side, you can do an open hand like this, or you can do a fist. Okay, so that's it for that switch out. Now, to switch out the arm, you got to take the cape off. So I'm going to take this off, and then we'll put the other switch out option, other arm. Take that out. And then never try to take the cape off with the bats on. Let's see if we don't scrape anything. I like to take the whole thing, the waist off with the cape on. It just seems to, it's easier to put on because it's really kind of a tight fit back there between all the stalagmites and everything. Luckily the magnets are really strong. I did have to add a few magnets here and there that were missing, but nothing too major. And this is the other option right here. I'm just off back here in the back where I can work a little easier. And like I said, I like to put the cape on and do it this way. So I kind of like that look. With the grappling gun. That's my kind of, I like that setup there. And I like it, I probably like it a little bit better with the more modern, that logo. The yellow's nice, but this is, I don't know, so everything just looks real clean this way. So there you go. So that's the A pose. I'm going to pause and I'm going to switch everything out to the B pose, okay? So those are your switch out options for A. And that's looking pretty sharp. So I'm going to pause and I'll be back with the B pose. All right, a few minutes later we got the B pose. So now what's different here is the torso for the most part and the bats. I actually kind of I really like the bats on the B pose. A little bit better than the A pose, to be honest. What I like about it is they're really kind of swirling around him, like especially here in front. It reminds me of that scene from The Dark Knight when he's in the cave and they're all kind of swarming around him. They're kind of really sweeping around him here. So I like the B bats better than the A bats. So what if this was my piece? I would put the A torso with the B bats. So you can do all the switch outs. So you can do the A torso with B bats. You can, like, if you really like this stalagmite, like this is the one I like where they come in front. You can put the B stalagmite here with an A stalagmite here and vice. It's like crazy. So switch outs and combinations are endless. There is an order of operations to put this together. You got to put all the stalagmites on first, then put him on the base because his feet stand on top of some of the stalagmites, which is another kind of little fitment issue thing. But once it's all together, it looks great. So I was really kind of stressing out about that yesterday. Oh man, like his foot isn't quite right here, but once it's all together, it's great because his foot's actually sitting on top of the stalagmite a little bit, which prevents his foot from sitting flat on the grate. So, you know, unless you get down here and look, you can't tell. So from normal viewing distance, I think it's fine. But yeah, so this is the B setup. Let's come in and look at the torso because there's no switch out options for the torso as far as arms and hands go. This is what you get. You get where he's putting his gloves on. Yeah, there's no other hands for that. So the only other options for the B is the portrait. So again, this is my favorite head, but there's 4 heads for this one. I've labeled that. These weren't labeled. I labeled that B1. You get 2 unmasked portraits. So this one, he's looking off to his left. There's that guy. And then you got a really, this is like my least favorite portrait. It's kind of squinty. I don't know. And then you got the short ears. So I guess I just now noticed this. This is the first time I've actually gone through all the switch outs. So on the B, all his heads are looking over his left shoulder. And again, you can switch out the logo to the classic or to the more modern. Now, these are magnetized specifically. Like the A logos will only go on the A torso and vice versa. The B will only go on the B. So they're like there. So again, you can have this set up. I'm going to put my favorite head on again because I like it. I did have also one more little fitment issue I fixed. There's a pretty good gap between the cowls and the torso. So I added just a little bit of putty there. When the heads are off, it looks a little weird. It doesn't look quite right, but with the heads on, it looks fine. So just to close up that gap a little bit. So there's that set up, and then of course you can have you can come in and do your, I'll back up here. If you like that setup, the B pose, you can get back up and put the A torso on the bus stand. And then if you want to light that up, you plug it in. I keep finding little touch-ups. That's how it is. And this has an on-off switch too. So, boom, boom. I'll come in a little bit closer on these stands so you can see some of the details. Let's move this over. He's a heavy, man, this guy's heavy, a lot of weight. But overall, I think this is a really, really nice piece. Like I said, I just had a few little fitment issues. But here you can see that glowing light coming out here in the blue. I wish there's a few more openings here on this back, on the grate, just so it'd get a little more light up on the stalagmites, but overall it's a really nice effect. It's subtle. And it didn't take too long, you know. Louis is like, well, I usually don't use the light up feature, but the base is really cool and it's a DC powered. I think you'll like it. He's like, well, if it doesn't add too much to the cost, the lights were like $20 and it took me about an hour to do it. So like $50 to add lights to this, I think it's worth it. You know, it's not crazy bright, but I think it's a nice little touch. So I'm gonna do that on the next one as well. We'll add lights to it. So I think that's it for the video. Man, it's actually pretty short considering how many options there are. Let's look at this base here because it's really cool. Underneath it, let's get this out of the way. There's actually a water effect down there. You can see it's a clear piece of resin, and I tinted the back side with some brownish green just to give it some ripples. You really can't see it, but it's a cool effect. If you look down in there, it's nice and white, nice and kind of swampy. Yeah, man, this is just a really cool piece. So I hope my client likes it. It was a lot more work than I anticipated. I don't like to underestimate jobs, but sometimes it happens where you think, oh, it's going to take this long, but then you realize you're actually painting 2 full statues. So it took twice as long. But they got a really good deal on the kit. Dan was selling them at a really good price to get rid of them. So I think overall, it's a really cool piece. Considering how busy and complicated it is, it actually takes a pretty small footprint. So like the height, like on this one, I'm just gonna measure this one. I haven't taken photos yet. I'm gonna take photos here in a minute. But like to the top, highest point of the bats, it's, I'm gonna take a ½ inch off from my, about 23.5 inches tall. So it's a little tall, but width-wise, it's only, oh gosh, maybe 14 inches in diameter. So relatively small footprint. And then you got the bus stand, which is relatively small. But I think that's going to do it for this video. I'll put photos at the end of it. So thanks for watching. I'll put a link down to my Facebook page because I did a lot of 8-hour live painting sessions on this where I turned the camera on at 8 o'clock in the morning, basically left it on all day long. So the only thing I didn't record was the black because I was up and down a lot from my my chair, painting and sealing and all that stuff. So everything else I recorded. The base is showing up a little more silvery here. It's kind of like a rusted steel is what I went for. So it's metallics, oil washes and highlighting and all that fun stuff. But it looks really, really good. I'm super happy with the results, and I'll take photos and put those at the end of the video. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.